Hello, welcome back to Oracle DBA tutorial. In this tutorial, we are going to discuss about control files and temp files. So, this is what is an Oracle abstract picture of a Oracle server, which consists of instances and a file system. And a file system is consist of multiple different types of file. And in this video, we are going to discuss about these two types of file called temp file and control file. So these two files we are going to discuss in the current videos. So first thing that we're going to discuss is control file. Control file. So essentially, control file is the file which tells the Oracle database is that where your data files and redo log files are there, right? So essentially, this tells the database the location of database file and redo file. So what happens here? This is the way that it works. So whenever we are going to start a database, we say startup, and then we give some p file is equal to some init.ora, right? So in that init.ora, in the parameter file, we're going to point to the location where the control file is. Okay, so basically parameter file tells where is your control file, and then this control file is going to tell where is your data files and redo log files. Okay, so that is how Oracle database is going to know which data files and which redo log files is going to be open. All right, and this is required in the startup, and this is one of the most important file, and it's also the smallest size of the file that you can see in a database. All right, so control file is going to contain couple of things, and those are, the first of thing is called the database name. Okay, and second thing the control file is going to contain is names and location of db files and redo files. Okay, and then the number 3 is going to contain about current log sequence number, and any when the database is created, db creation time, and number 5 is about checkpoint information. So you may not be aware of these two things right now, so don't worry about this. We are going to explain whenever we are going to discuss about checkpointing and log switch. So that's the time we are going to discuss about point 3 and point 5. But control file will contain these five, essentially these 5 information. Control file is a binary file. We cannot read, but Oracle can read it. So with this, let's take a look how it's going to be look like in a real system. So here is my Oracle database, and this is where my init parameters are located. So let's first take a look at my init parameter, init xc.ora. So look at this, in the init parameter file, I have a parameter called control files is equal to something like this. Okay, that means it suggests my control file is located at this directory, and the file name is control.dbf. So let's try to go on and check what is there. So if I just want to do a vi on this thing, I'm going to see some junk characters and then also some strings and all, right? Because this is a binary file and we cannot read it, but Oracle database can read it. All right, however, if we do a string so that we can get the parameter, just make an like just see like what kind of things are available in the strings format. So looks like these are the strings, and looks like these are the files. So as I told you in the last videos, our data file is something like aura data xe, and this is a data file. So essentially what this control file in turns contain all your location of data file, and also the name, because my system data file is name is system, and then maybe the data file is something called system.dbf, like this one is the data file. Okay, but it will contain what is the like the data file. All right, and then some other things. So we are not really that interested in those things. So just to this thing, just to show that yes, we can we can figure out by just looking at a control file where are my data files are. Another important thing is this control file is a very important file, and if you lose control file, then you do not know where is the data files. You do not really know, like where is the redo log files and all those things. In that case, database will not going to start, right? Because when you are going to start the instance, the instance startup time, you need to know what are the data files, what are the redo log files, right? And who is going to give you? Control file is going to give you that information. And for whatever reason control file is not there, then you are in trouble. You cannot open the data files, hence database is not going to start up. To avoid that, we always multiplex. We always multiplex control file. That means we always keep a multiple copies of control file, and that too we always keep them in different disk, right? So for example, I have in my current example, I don't have any multiplex system, right? I just have only, like if you take a look at just hold on, vi init xe.aura. So here I just have one control file, but this is, as I told you, this is just a test environment. I don't care if this this database is gone. I'm going to restart. I can reinstall again. Okay, because I don't really care about the data files. I don't really care about the database, this database. However, when in your production system where you do care about your data, you do care about your database, you don't want to basically lose your control files ever. So what happens if tomorrow this control file is lost, or the file where where this the disk where this file is is going to crash? So in that case, I can't really start my database again. So to avoid that, we always multiplex control file. That means we have control1.dbf, and that control1.dbf may be in one disk. So let's say this is disk 1. Then what I'm going to do, I'm going to create control2.dbf, and this is going to be stored in disk 2. So maybe, like a lot of times I have seen in production system, they put control file in 3 different places. If you want to do that, then your init.aura parameter, you just give all those locations. By doing so, Oracle is going to write all this information to those all 3 control files. And also what's going to happen, that if for whatever reason this is gone, then we can always recover this disk. That means like let's say this disk is crashed forever, then we can buy a new disk and configure that disk to work with that computer or with that server, and then we copy this control2.dbf, which is exactly replica of control1.dbf, to this disk and get the database going. So that means multiplexing of control file is must, and this is what is a general practice that is followed across the production system. So this is all about control file. Just like it's this important file, but not really a lot of things to talk about. And the last one, the next thing that we are going to discuss in this video is called temp file. So temp files are something, let's say we want to do a sorting, right? So let's say you give that your SQL statement where you do select star from emp, say order by employee name. So in that case, what happens is that we are going to get the data from the database, from data file, and then we will sort the order in the memory. Okay, so instead of sorting those things in the memory, or if if the select star from emp is going to give us a huge amount of data, then it's not a good idea to sort those things in our RAM or in our SGA. Instead of that, what we can do, we can write those things to a file called a temporary file, and we can use that temporary file to sort the results. And that is the use of temporary file. What we can do, we can always create a temporary table space, and which will be attached to a temporary file, and then any sorting, anything like this operation is going to be always done on that temporary table space, that means on that temp file. The important difference of temp file and data file is this, that Oracle manages them different way. If a operation is associated with a temp file, then Oracle is not going to generate any redo information for that, because the temp, whatever, the only the purpose of redo log file is to protect against any failure, right? But temp file is something that we don't really need to protect it, because we can always give another select statement with order by, we'll always use a temp file. Okay, so that is the reason why why Oracle does not redo, does not protect a temp file by using the redo mechanism. And always make sure that when, let's say you create a table T, and do not create a table on table space temp. Table space temp will have this temporary temporary data file, right? So if you use, if you create a table T with a temporary table space, then that table T is in a risk of not able to recoverable, because the table T, because the temp table space is, or temp files are never protected by redo. So just make sure that you never create any production based, you never create any real table on a temporary file.